Hey everybody, PC Outcast here, back with more Everlasting Summer, and this time we are going for Alisa's bad route. So we'll start off by not running away from her. We gotta get some positive feedback with her before we don't finish the things at the end. Take the keys, whatever, keep silent about the book. Don't really care about those things. Through these. I don't think any of these actually matter. Go on. There we go. Alright, now we are going to bet with Alisa, which will improve our relationship with her by 2. And then win against her, I believe, right? Yes, win against her. Ooh, losing against her. That's new dialogue, though. Potentially. Okay, let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We basically have to do everything else if we skip this. Okay, whatever. I lost to Chiska. And that's the most unfortunate one. One can only guess what she will get up to tomorrow. She could embarrass me at the lineup if I don't oversleep, of course. She could complain to Olga. She could just start rumors around the camp. The worst thing is that everyone will believe her, not me. I wasn't even sure why, but I was 100% sure about it. Okay. That's that. And, I don't know, go to the bus stop. So this is day 3, I believe. No, I'm not going to help her out. I'll go take a look. Okay, I'll come. So I accepted her offer, that's 3. Run away. Flop. Oh, going to the dance is actually 4. And then make up another excuse is 5. Go to the boathouse. Wanted to get even with you, she smirked, meaning you lost the bet. So I wanted to show the camp leader how you were stalking me. Wonder what wrong Olga could find in the situation, but let's move on. I see. Maybe I should apologize to you? Okay, second choice doesn't matter where we go. Don't go with Miku, but we have to go with Miku anyway. Even if we say no. I'm just asking. Food poisoning, perhaps? Don't ask about the bundle. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll give her the activated carbon, that's 6. Don't eat the apple just yet. And we are going to go with Alisa to find Shark. Flop. We fell down a hole. Doesn't matter which direction we go. Alright, we're on day 5. Only have one more thing to do. Don't try to snatch Alisa's book. Refuse. I wonder what accept does. What does that tell us? Well, this doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go with Slavia. Try my best. Okay, library. We should run into Alisa. There you go. Stay on guard, I believe. Yeah, don't try to snatch the book. And finally the compass. Okay, so we've done all the things. We should have 6 or 7 points in our favor. Now we do need to find out what they're arguing about. We can do this whole misunderstanding thing just fine. And from now on, we should get some new information. I hope, at least. Okay, we're gonna get drunk. Wake up. Go searching for things, and soon we were sitting on a fallen tree and warming our hands by the fire. Only now did I finally realize that I'd finally gotten out of that damned camp. I'd found no answers, on the contrary, everything had become even more tangled, as I guess I am to spend the rest of my life in this reality. If I don't take into consideration all the sci-fi stuff, it's clear that I'm somewhere in the south at the end of the 80s. How, and more importantly, why I was brought here is not so important now as I have somehow adapted. And I ought to begin with the girl sitting by my side. So what will we do when we reach the district center? Call our parents? What else? Alisa smiled slightly. She had someone to call. And then it's all over. Meaning? Well, we'll leave for our homes. I wasn't really surprised by this answer. I just thought about what would happen after the term ended. And that's it. What else is there? I don't know. After all that happened. But nothing happened at all. She told me merrily, "What do you mean nothing happened? You'll have a chance to find Lena." I literally chose every option to not advance my relationship with Lena, and she's still like, "Well, you can go find Lena." I was surprised, but Alisa said it absolutely kindly. As if I need Lena, don't you? To be honest, Lena was the last person I was thinking about right now. No. Then maybe it's me? I looked at Alisa attentively. She grinned spitefully. She was weeping just recently. What about you? I evaded the question. What do you think about me? I don't know. Maybe you can just say it straight out? A long silence fell. Alisa's waiting for a straight answer, but I can't sort it out for myself. It's Pioneer Camp and now the girl who wants to hear something I can't say that easily. You see, then I really understood. Understood that now it's no use trying to be cunning and holding things back. I almost managed to break out of the cage. The worst is over. Or on the contrary, the worst is yet to come, but it's time to speak plainly. You see, what you're expecting from me is almost impossible. Looks like everything's impossible for you. She sniffed. It's weird to say, but it's true. I don't know what will happen to me. Not even necessarily tomorrow, but in the next second. And what might it be? Will you vanish into thin air? Quite possibly. She burst into peals of laughter? You know, I was ready for any excuses, but not one like that. These aren't excuses, just listen. Alisa gazed at me attentively and it seemed had no intention of interrupting. You see, I don't belong to this place. I'm not talking about the camp, but about the whole world. All of you here completely strange, incomprehensible people to me. As you are for us, actually. I'm not even sure if you're from my planet or my reality. Quit it now, Alisa said tiredly. Imagine that once you fell asleep and woke up in a completely different place, and not just place, but a different time as well. That's what happened to me. I used to live in the 21st century in a city far away from here. I was somewhat older than I look now. I had my own life, regardless of whether it was good or bad, it was my own. And then one night I took a bus, fell asleep, and woke up here, as a 17-year-old pioneer. Alisa looked at me in surprise. And you expect me to believe you? I don't know, it's up to you. It really wasn't easy for me to tell you that. You're a master storyteller, really. Just a sec. I rummaged through my pockets and showed her my phone. To my great surprise, there was still some battery and the screen was glowing brightly. Have you ever seen something like this? Do you have something like it? I held it out to Alisa. She fidgeted with it, pressing buttons. Well, some kind of imported foreign toy, so what? It's not a toy, it's a telephone. And where are the wires? Where's the handset? She laughed. There's no need for them. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate to you how it works because they're still not invented in your time. Yeah, sure. She said skeptically and handed me my phone back. Anyway, it's your decision whether to believe me or not. I told you all this only to explain what position I'm in now. I still don't know what would happen to me in an hour, so such decisions. Fine, you don't have to say any more, and you don't have to make any decisions. She got up and pushed some more firewood into the fire. If I've offended you. Nah, everything's fine, she said coldly. I understand. You're a visitor from the future, so normal girls like me don't interest you. You got me wrong. No, I didn't. It's a very credible, logical, and, above all, truthful tale. Any girl would dig it. So you still think that I'm making up excuses? Alisa stayed silent. Or that I've gone completely mad? One could expect anything from you. Why do you have to be like this? I said sadly. What about me? I've done nothing wrong. She grinned spitefully. Just imagine that it's all true and understand why I behave so. I already imagined, understood. I was about to say something else, but a horn sounded from the road. There was a bus on the roadside. Leia's, on a regular route. It's odd that we hadn't noticed its approach. At last, salvation! Shall we go? Alisa asked in a completely bland, emotionless voice. Yeah, sure. Grabbed the backpack. I can manage it myself. She took it from me. It's obvious that it was too heavy for her, but I didn't object. Soon we sat peacefully on the back seat of the bus. Various feelings fought inside of me. On the one hand, I was glad beyond measure to get to the civilized world. On the other, I was guilt-stricken by the unfinished conversation with Alisa. Sorry that I acted so... You expected something different. I expected nothing of you, she replied coldly. I just wanted you to understand, and concerning our relationship, I like you. Really. Glad to hear that. But her voice didn't sound so glad. I said it honestly. You see, I don't know what'll happen next, but here and now, I guess last night you liked me even more. No, you misunderstood. Should we do it again while the driver can't see us? Calm down for a second, okay? I didn't even think about it. What's the matter? You wanted it. I don't care. You want it, and I don't care. It's the only thing I'm good for. Alisa, wait. Okay, I want to sleep. She reclined on her seat and closed her eyes. Wait a sec. I'm sleeping. Let's talk later. I didn't object. After all, it's good to seek counsel from your pillow. Besides, Alisa needs some time to calm down. Although, of course, I was desperate to explain everything to her in a way she'd understand. But I held back. I still was sick at heart. Ugh. Blech. We were alone on the bus. Outside, dark shadows were passing by. Sometimes it was possible to discern a tree, a river, or the pylons of a power transmission line. But the landscape seemed not to differ from the one in the camp. Maybe the world is a circle and we're just moving around it. Anyway, surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I just stared at the floor and thought about tomorrow. What will happen? This city, this planet, this time, are all strange to me. In a further talk with Alisa, who was totally disappointed with me. I don't think you need to worry about that, dude. The process of waiting happens to be more tiresome than its result. And finally, things bound to happen don't look so important or fearsome. All your strength is exhausted. There's just tiredness and emptiness in your soul. The bus was driving into the unknown. I couldn't resist and fell asleep. And that's the last I ever saw of Alisa. Seems I'm getting old. The day was over and the hangover should have been long gone, but I still felt sick and dizzy. Despite how hard I tried, I was unable to open my eyes. I just rolled over. I wonder what awaits me in the district center. How am I to live? Maybe it's not all that bad. Well, sure, I don't know where to begin, but on the other hand, this world doesn't seem hostile. I know a lot of things here. Everyone speaks Russian. So maybe nothing bad's going to happen? Suddenly I felt very sick. Damn it, I thought it was all gone by yesterday evening. I managed to reach the toilet, moving instinctively. After some time, when my dirty business was done, I returned to the room. And then I realized that I was reading the same dialogue from the previous video. I'm back in my old flat. However, it's not so old. Seems that nothing changed during the week of my absence. The dust layers hadn't even grown thicker. The keyboard position, monitor incline, and the stain from a cup of tea on the table stung my eyes. Theoretically, a man in my condition shouldn't notice such details, but the entire room drew my attention to the most minor of details, as if it was twinkling with different colors. The socks were thrown around in exactly the same manner as they had been before. The blanket sat rumpled on the unmade bed as it was before. The dirty window showed the same view of the street, like a cracked kinescope. In vain, I tried to become terrified or at least scared. Maybe it's shock effect, post-traumatic stress disorder or something like that. After all, several hours ago I wasn't even thinking of returning to the real world. The Pioneer Camp, the girls, Alisa, the mythical district center where I would have arrived if I hadn't woken up in my flat, all that had started to seem real to me. Maybe my fantastic vacation to Sovyanok was just a dream. My feet started to rack up circles around the room. I held my hands behind my back and started to think everything over. Only one thing is clear. I've returned as suddenly as I arrived there, without any reason or logic. Maybe there was some sort of explanation, but it's beyond my, or human, comprehension. Whether it was a trick by interstellar forces, a supreme mind, or government experiments, I believe the last one was the least likely. They left no clues. If I was unable to find answers in the camp, it would be foolish to expect things to become clearer here. It's like searching for evidence in a house that's been burned to ashes. Even if a crime was committed, all the evidence was destroyed by the fire. Maybe if I had the skills and equipment of a criminologist, I could find something, but the memories of the week spent in the camp are all I've got. But it wasn't a dream, I know it for sure. My hangover was absolutely real. My feelings and emotions were genuine, not just the stuff of dreams. Therefore, I've been there. I spent a week in the Sovyanok Pioneer Camp with the camp leader and the pioneers, with Alisa. Memories of her made me sigh. It would have been great to leave with her. Wait a minute. What's wrong with me? I should be glad I returned home to the real world. Or shouldn't I? For now, I just couldn't evaluate the situation reasonably. I couldn't understand whether I wanted to stay there or to enjoy my long-awaited return. I noticed a 5-ruble coin on the table, took it and began to toss it up without any purpose, counting the number of heads and tails. A long time ago, maybe even in school, I heard that in an infinite number of coin tosses, the probabilities are not equal to 50% each. Maybe it's because a coin doesn't have a perfect shape and weight, or because of some other reason. However, here, after some time, I counted 70 heads and 71 tails. So the theory of relativity lies. But I'm not the man to judge it. I don't know much about it. I recalled my childhood when I heard the word tails for the first time. For some reason, it always made me think of squirrels. Maybe there's some logic in this. A squirrel does indeed have a tail. Now this theory seemed strange to me, but at the same time I couldn't find any conclusive evidences to disprove it. So does it mean that squirrels come out more frequently than heads? But one must consider the squirrel has a head as well, so I yanked on my hair and sighed, exhausted. Now's not the time for thinking of such rubbish. On the other hand, what is now the right time for? What can I do? What's under my control? If I hadn't bothered trying to find answers during the week there, what would be the point of thinking now? Maybe I should just try to go back to my ordinary life. The words ordinary life were painful to me. Why did I choose that specific word? I could have said past, former, or something else. I guess because it was what I was used to. That's the most obvious answer. As they say, what you get used to becomes second nature to you. Instantly, all of the last week's events floated before my eyes. Did I really want to stay there so badly? Was just 1 week enough for me to get used to Olga picking on me all the time, Yelena's pranks and joking around, or Alisa's cheekiness and mockery? I had no answer to this question, but it's obvious that I already missed it. Although I'm sure I'll never return there. Obviously, I can't tell whether the force that brought me there might want to entertain itself again, and again, and again. It's possible. But for now, I have what I have, an adventure that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Damn it, how many people get to experience something like that? Even books, even dreams about such things are unthinkable. The main thing is that it wasn't Dr. Moreau's evil island, but a normal Soviet pioneer camp with normal pioneers. And its calmness was overlaid by the astonishing origin of my arrival there. Anyway, it wasn't the worst experience of my life. Perhaps it was one of the best. Obviously, it's sad that everything just ended halfway through, but every story has an end. It's good that it has ended that way. Who knows what else could have happened? Time passed. The events that took place in the camp now seem more like a fascinating novel I once read. No, I haven't forgotten them. I could recall them to the finest detail. I remember how as a child I used to lie under a blanket with a flashlight and read a fascinating book about spaceflight until dawn. Sometimes I was unable to get up and go to school. My parents always used to scold me for that, but with every night approaching, I would carefully turn every page, trying to absorb every minor detail of the story. I had similar feelings about that pioneer camp. Reality, if I can consider it such, now seemed more like a book. I didn't think it was bad at all. In the end, the main thing is to remember that it's not important whether these memories take the form of a slideshow, photos, video, or audio. Now each bus made me feel both fear and hope. At first I circled around the 410 route without purpose. Several times I fell asleep on the same seat. But nothing happened, not even a trace of something supernatural. As times went by, I stopped these idle trips. Something changed in my life, I just couldn't do otherwise. It couldn't do otherwise. A couple of weeks after my return, I took up... So he takes up the guitar anyway? Like, all this is the dialogue we read before, right? Striking chords. At first it didn't work out well. I had no talent. On the other hand, I polished my skill. Practice makes perfect. Half a year later, I achieved some results. Satisfied with my progress, I formed a band. Had no idea what kind of music I wanted to play. Seemed impossible. Had to communicate with strangers, but it all worked out. Potential candidates had mostly the same tastes. They had the same goals, so we soon formed a band. Suddenly I discovered my talent as a composer. Spent entire days and nights working on things. Quite soon we had our first concert, a D-list club not significantly bigger than my bedroom. Since this was about the first step to success, a long time we were invited again. Published some tracks on the internet. Maybe some considered music to be a leisure activity, but for me it was serious. Founded the band, all the music was mine. Felt personal responsibility towards it. Then some popularity came. We were giving concerts every week. I was sitting before my monitor torturing a guitar. The date of the upcoming concert was quickly yeah. Thought of it gave me goosebumps. It'll be the first time we're headliners. Wonder how many discs will get sold. Maybe some will buy it just to support the band. I looked at the date once more. Yes, it was exactly 1 year since I returned from Savionok. My smile I'm disappointed that there isn't more unique dialogue, and they don't allow me to skip through it. It's like, well, none of this is unique. Just let me read the new stuff, man. Wonder whether Alisa would like my music. Played a couple complicated guitar parts, felt satisfaction. Wondered whether I would achieve all of this without those fantastic events. Unlikely. And I rehearsed my part once more, and then went to the exit. It was cold outside, just like that day. Approached the 410. going to club on the very same bus. With a sinking heart, I counted down the seconds. Soon the bus arrived. I idly opened its doors. It was a winter night, just like back then. The closer we got to the downtown area, the more people there were on the streets. Some were chatting. I had no wish to return to that camp. Any other time, maybe, but not today. Had a clear aim, and nothing else mattered. The club was considerably bigger than the one we played our first concert in, but it was empty, and there was a sound check going on. Now, all this stuff is from the previous. We're not doing the warm-up. I listened to the first band. They had a lot of improving to do. My tension grew enormous, shaking with anxiety. Decided not to listen in. The rest of the guys were silent. We're in the same mood, and we were silent and talk about it. Our parts were learned and perfected a long time ago. Only nervousness could hinder us. Alright, let's do this. And now, finally, the time has come. I don't remember how we entered the stage and greeted the audience. My consciousness turned on when the first chords of our song came from the loudspeakers. All sitting in makeup, I desperately tried to warm my ice-cold fingers, but now they were working like they were charmed. Didn't make a single mistake. I played all these parts at home or during the rehearsals. Didn't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. The audience felt different in front of the audience. Didn't interrupt. Our performance is nearing the end, and it is now time for a difficult solo. At that point, my nervousness had vanished. I played it through it perfectly, even better than during the rehearsals. Wow! Finally, our performance was over. I smiled awkwardly, bowed several times. They asked us to encore, but we didn't have any other songs. Euphoria prevailed in the dressing room. We hugged each other. Champagne. Our discs were all sold. We were even happier. Finally managed to become something. Possible to predict the future of our band or the whole affair with music, but one thing's clear. I have finally found something I'm interested in and can dedicate my life to. Can maybe make other people happy. It's probably now the happiest man on earth. Club's empty, instruments are packed, I'm waiting for the others to come home. I glanced at the stage where I'd been standing just an hour ago. Once again, joy, pleasure, and excitement gripped me. This won't be the last time I appear on that stage, for sure. And maybe even grander stages like concert halls and Olympic stadiums are in my future. Who knows? Anything's possible now. After saying goodbye to my mates, I ran to the bus stop and luckily caught the 410 bus. Nobody was inside. I took a seat behind the driver, just like back then. Some familiar tune could be heard from the radio. Maybe one day my songs will also be played on the radio. In some way, these trips were similar to the events that took place a year ago. I mean, at the moment, everything is expected, achieved by means of hard work, and the planned result is fulfilled. But I'm returning as another man. A man who has changed in a way. So we just don't meet Alisa. Every story has its beginning and end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, prologue, and an epilogue. And there's no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every ... Well, thanks for joining me for Alisa's bad end. Not really that bad. I mean, my life ended the exact same way. I just didn't meet her in real life. Kind of, both Alisa and Slavia's roots were like a lot more bleh than I thought. It's funny that we went for Lena first, and she had like the most intense, intense endings, I guess. Anyway. That is it for all the regular girls. So now we're on to the Yulia roots, which are, she's the cat girl, if you're not aware. So we will see how that goes in the next episode. Thanks very much for joining me. Take care.